that today.
Hello, and welcome back to another Off the Mat series. I'm Jessie Raskiller, and today for the month of September, we have Heather Perry joining us. Hi, Heather.
Hello.
So most of you over the years, if you've been with Pop-Up for more than a couple of weeks, have either now these days chatted with Heather on our Wix app and gotten to know her that way, or you've probably gotten to take one of her iconic classes up at the Cross or one of her other offerings. So we are excited to feature Heather. Heather's been with us since the inception of Pop-Up back in 2015, and this commitment that her and I made to teach. I was teaching Thursdays, which is ironic. I just realized last week I'm officially teaching Thursday nights again, and she had committed 6 years ago to teach Sunday every week, and she's been there pretty much every week. So but I want to start back a little bit at the beginning, because Heather and I are friends, and I feel like I know so much about her, but I always like in these series to learn little things about people that and the teachers that maybe I don't always know. So Heather, do you want to maybe just start with, who you are, where you came from, but then also kind of tell us a little bit about your yoga journey and how the roots of it came to find you.
Okay, well, this is going to be a long conversation.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, just the very short version is that I'm from Wisconsin originally, and after college, right after college, I moved to California. I was a high school and middle school teacher, and I taught high school for several years here in California. I taught English and theater. So English and theater are my background and my majors in college and what I have passion in. And I found out later on that I didn't really enjoy teaching, and that wasn't bringing me the joy that I wanted. And so I sought other avenues. And during that time, I came upon yoga many times and it interested me, but I never dove into the practice until about 2005, 2006. I would say I picked up my first yoga book and started to learn a little bit about yoga. And then I think it was about 2006, the end of 2006, I took my very first yoga class. And I really arrived at that first yoga class because I was managing a women's gym in the town where I was living, and I would watch yogis come out of the group exercise room, and all of the people that came out were so relaxed and so at peace. And it was such a difference from some of the other classes that were coming out of that space. And it really intrigued me. And I was like, my God, I want to feel just like that. And so I started taking the yoga practices with my first teacher, Tina Nichols, and she was fantastic. She was probably still one of my favorite teachers. And I was really, really blessed to find just such a dynamic and thoughtful and really beautiful teacher who had so many wise words for me when I began my practice. And it was because of her that I started teaching. She was the one who really said to me, you know what, you'd be a good yoga instructor. And I was like, no, heck no. And she was the one who really pushed me in that direction.
So it's interesting that, and I've noticed this in my own life's journey, that you said you weren't meant to be a teacher, because here you are, a teacher.
Well, I was always a teacher. I mean,
yeah.
That's all I've ever done is teach. Even when I was a young child, I taught, in middle school, I taught dance to some of the kids in the younger grade at my school, and I taught pom-poms and dance and theater all the way through college. And I was a daycare teacher when I was in college. And so teaching has always been in my blood. That is something that I've always done. But teaching yoga, I was like, well, I'm not right there yet. I know I'd be a good teacher, but I wasn't there in my practice yet to really become a teacher and actually share the practice. So it took me a couple of years to get there.
Yeah, but it's those lines of energy, and I guess I look at that as sort of dharma, or as we call that our purpose center, right? And it's like those threads of like what consistently show up to be true for us in our life. And like you're saying, you're a teacher through and through, right? And it's not the only label that you subscribe to, but I always find it so interesting with friends that are really listening and tapping into that path that comes most natural to them of how they continue to arrive back to sort of the same roles, but sometimes just in a different facet, right? It's like
Yeah.
you went from all those different teaching roles and right now you're a yoga teacher, but you're also becoming a teacher of so many other things as well, which is something I want to dive into with you. We've been talking a lot sort of behind the scenes, and one of the bigger introductions that we want to do is opening up our community. Like you said, you found a yoga book, and that's kind of what, besides watching those, relaxed people coming out of a space, like there are these teachings that really go behind the yoga lineage and beyond the movement, right? And currently you're in a really deep mentorship training too, which maybe you can talk and share a little bit about that, because this is part of what we're hoping to sort of open up for you guys, is the self-study that we as teachers went off because we were craving more. We want to give you guys opportunities for that as well. But, Heather's in this beautiful, enriching training over the last few years that I'll let her speak to a little bit. So.
Okay. Well, I'm in a program with some really fantastic and some of the original teachers of mindfulness training in the United States. And one of my mentors is Jack Cornfield. And I'm in a program called the MMTCP program, which is, I don't even know if I could say the whole thing, but it's, it's basically a mindfulness training based in the Vipassana tradition. And all of the teachings come from the Buddhist teachings and the Buddhist Dharma, which all of our mindfulness practices come from the Buddhist teachings, the Dharma of the Buddha. But this particular very intensive practice and mentorship is bringing all of the teachings of mindfulness and learning how to really deliver it in a clear way, but also to be inclusive and to include every single person in that teaching. And so learning where we have certain biases when we teach, and learning how we can become a more inclusive teacher. And so that was a really important piece for me in the program, and something that I was very interested. So my one mentor is Jack Cornfield, and another mentor, and I'm sure you've heard of him before, most of you, but the other mentor that I was really excited about because I had taken some trainings with her already was Tara Brach. And Tara Brach and Jack Cornfield both are just leaders in the mindfulness training and mindfulness. And I have learned just in the past, I think I'm just past my 7-month mark of a 2-year program in mentorship. And it's just been magical. My own evolution in my mindfulness practice and my awareness and diving into my essential self has been just very profound for me. And so I'm so grateful that during the pandemic, I made the leap to join this group. And the other important piece that I wanted to share is that we meet with other peers of the program on a weekly basis. Actually, my group decided to meet weekly to meditate together and to come together as a sangha and to really bring a little bit more of a thread of unity throughout the program. And then I decided to also meet with another peer privately, and we do our practice together, and we learn together and grow together in that. So it's been really, really a deep practice and a deep learning that I'm so grateful for.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I've loved just the chance, like through our chats, to hear how you've been growing it through it. And then I see, just because I know you so well, how you integrate this stuff into your teaching so well and bring new elements. And, as a student, we might not always recognize that, but there's always a different kind of like eye focus that we have as a teacher of like, when we see another teacher really stepping into the teachings and how they're first bringing those in, right? And it's always, because it's always an inner digestion that we have, but then we ripple those back out. And I'm curious, and maybe there's not words for it yet because you're so in it right now, but what are with the mindfulness, just to kind of inspire other people of what this practice, what are some of the things, or maybe just simple tools that you found through this so far that are really just awe-inspiring for you, or have shifted either the way that you think or that you approach your everyday living? And that could be a loaded question, I guess, because that's probably a lot.
That's okay. Well, the first thing that came to mind for me was the piece of just nurturing yourself in the practice. I
Mm,
think, and I'm seeing as I share these teachings with others, and in my movement and meditation class and in my other classes, I'm just seeing that people aren't really feeling that piece of just nurturing what is here, and just allowing, the changing, the fluctuation that happens naturally within life, and just accepting what is here. I tend to in life sort of force myself into things, into feeling good, and just like force myself into, I gotta heal this, I gotta fix this, I gotta, and I think there's a lot of us who feel that way. And this mindfulness practice is not about changing anything or fixing anything. It really is about being with the aliveness that is right here, right now. And so what I think the most profound, eye-opening sort of piece that I have come away with so far is that we nurture ourselves in the practice. That we, the most important piece is the compassion that you have for yourself
mm,
when you are practicing mindfulness, when you're practicing meditation, because it is a practice. We see the statue of a Buddha, or we see a statue of a yogic deity, and they look so wise and compassionate and loving, and so stable. But the truth is that, even the Buddha continued to have some of the suffering that we too share with the Buddha. And the fact is, it's to just be with what is right here and happening, and to sort of have that space of allowing what is here has been just like a big piece that's been an aha moment for me, of just
mm,
nurturing myself and having compassion for myself. And I think that's why my teaching is really focused on the heart, and that of compassion and kindness and loving kindness for others, and gratitude for what is here in life, just as it is.
yeah, that's beautiful. And I think that's so relevant right now with just the state of the world, right? Mind, body, and spirit, everything that's going on. It's like when we can really come back to that center point and sort of bring ourselves back within, and that recognition of, we don't have to change anything. We just have to be here with ourselves and see who we ourselves are.
Yeah.
And then I see you, like, from what you shared from the digestion part, it's like that is what I see you emanating out there, right? It's, you have your Monday morning movement practice, as well as your Tuesday morning meditation practice. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that, because I think a lot of our students know you as Sunday Soul, which is beautiful. But you have so many other pieces that you offer throughout the week as well, right? So on your Monday, just because also I think for our community, it's nice when we can share these different names that we attach to our classes, and like why that would inspire somebody to try something that's not just yoga in the wild, but you have your specific name that you are working through on Mondays. And what do you offer them on Monday mornings?
So Monday morning practice is really about moving with mindfulness, and really going into the body as well as the mind and thoughts that arise. So it's sort of a movement meditation practice. And I like to consider that many of our practices in yoga are really movement meditation, but really honing in on that, and really feeling into the different sensations that arise, and touching into the body in a way that is really purposeful. And then generally I offer a meditation and perhaps a pranayama practice with that meditation, either before or after or during the practice. And so I always bring some piece of mindfulness, and generally I'll have a theme so around that mindfulness teaching, if you will, that I bring in into the movement, and then integrate that into the offering of meditation at the end.
Beautiful. And then just to follow through with it on Tuesdays, some of you may not know, she actually offers a complimentary meditation practice every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. on Zoom. So it's very accessible for anybody within the community to come in and just have complimentary meditation. And maybe this is a practice for somebody who's just curious, but also somebody that really wants to deepen their meditation practice. And you've been sharing with me that you'll be kicking off a little bit of a series this next month too. And
Yes.
so what do you share on your Tuesday mornings, just so the community
So
can?
Tuesday morning started out as, when India was really hit with the coronavirus, I decided that I needed to do something. And so I shared this practice of meditation, and I just shared guided meditations and started to teach them intro to mindfulness practices on Zoom, and all of the money from that. So people would pay, their regular class fee to come to that practice, and all of that money went to providing oxygen to India. And so we sent, what I think it was 20 bottles or 30 bottles
Yeah.
of oxygen to India, so that we could sort of help in that effort to get as much oxygen to them as possible. That was like one of the things that was happening in India, that they were lacking oxygen containers for their people. So we started off that way. And then as that evolved, I started to have a regular group of people that were coming. And so I started to just turn it into a free practice where everybody was included in the practice and could come and didn't have to pay anything for me to share some guided meditations. And what I'd like to do from here, since we have this opportunity to talk, and since I'm the teacher feature of the month, I thought I'd kind of shift things a little bit to see if I can bring some more people to the practice on Tuesday mornings at 7 a.m. And so I'm going to be offering a 4-week sort of series on the actual 4 sort of fundamental practices of the Dharma of the Buddha. And so sort of getting into the body, getting into the thoughts and the states of the mind and the suffering of the mind, and the 4 sort of aspects of the teaching of mindfulness from the Buddha. So the Buddha loved to make lists. Like if you get into the teachings, the Buddhist teachings, and I'm not talking about the religious teachings or the religious Dharma, I'm talking about just the mindfulness aspect of the Buddhist teachings. And he just made lists and lists and lists and lists and lists. So there's 4 fundamental pieces to the practice. And we're sort of each week, I'm going to share with you those pieces and offer a meditation sort of based in that. And then I hope to keep that going, sort of kind of repeating and coming back to some of those other practices that are within those 4 frameworks. And so I'm hoping that will invite some beginners to yoga, so they can really understand, the sort of dharma behind the practice of meditation and mindfulness. And so I'm hoping to grow that Tuesday morning. We have a nice small little group of people that have been coming pretty frequently and consistently, and I'd like to continue to grow that and kind of dive a little bit deeper into our own personal practice, so that it's not just about me guiding the meditation, but people actually coming into a practice of their own. So that's my goal from here on out.
That's beautiful. And that's, that's when we really sort of take ownership of these practices, is when we have a teacher that sort of helps us and guides us and get us into those places and helps us to strengthen those muscles, right? And it's really when we can step away from those moments and own them in our own body. So I love, like, that's a beautiful way of saying that then too. Then it becomes an evolution of each of us in our practices that we take in. So
yeah, thank you.
So then switching gears and continuing on with this teacher feature, you have some lovely offerings coming up. So tell us a little bit about, she's going to be offering a half-day retreat at the end of the month. And I'm excited. I'm going to be attending this because I read her description. I was like, this is beautiful. And this is where so many of us could just be welcomed into this space and tapping in and going a little bit deeper. So share with us what you'll be offering on September 25th.
Okay, so really what kept coming to me when I was thinking about what I wanted to offer was something centered around our hearts. So much of the profound practices that I have gained so much insight within myself and insight about the world have been, really focused on honing in on the heart, our hearts within ourselves, and really the soul of the heart, and really tapping into that. And what I mean by that is, really knowing what the heart is feeling and being able to be with what the heart is feeling and really nurturing that quality, whatever it is. And starting to nurture that quality so much that you're able to sort of unblock and sort of take down the walls that you might have put up knowingly or unknowingly within your heart. And so with that guidance, I decided to do a practice, and I'll be sharing a half-day retreat. And honestly, a half day is probably not enough to really dive as deep as I want to go, but I'm going to start there. And we're going to move into the heart, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the chakras and what the chakras are and the energy of the chakras, and how the heart is really the balance point between your lower and your upper chakras. So your earth bounded chakras, first, second, and third chakra, and then how the heart balances that with the upper chakras, the ethers, and the more intrinsic nature of life. And so we're going to find that sort of center at the heart and really hone in there, and work into some asana, mostly restorative postures to bring energy into the heart. And of course, the heart is related to air. So the Anahata chakra, or the heart chakra, is related to air and our breathing, and expanding the breath into the heart space, into the lungs, and expanding the chest cavity and shoulders, and even into the arms and the hands. And the hands, the hands that reach out to hug somebody and to hold somebody and to nurture ourselves and others, is really connected to the heart. It's very much intrinsically connected to the heart. And so we're going to talk about that, and how we can extend our hearts onto others, and sort of the blocks, the walls we put up in our lives and in society, through othering, through race, and identifying ourselves as one way or another, and coming into a place where we can feel really open and energetic in our heart, and feel the joy within our hearts, and get a little playful with expanding into the heart, but then sharing our love and our compassion, which is really what is seated within the heart, and sharing our joys and our deepest self with others, and really getting sensitive and vulnerable so that we can share ourselves with others. So much of the division that we feel in our worlds is because we don't feel safe enough to be vulnerable and to really, really open up to who we are. And so my hope for this practice is that we start to sort of move in towards that. And once we get this sort of real connection with our own hearts, I have found in my own practice, once I'm there in my heart, I can move from that place and really be truthful and authentic in my life. But when we have those barriers to loving in our hearts, and barriers to compassion for others, it's really hard to feel that reflect back into ourselves. So just finding that love first within ourselves, and nurturing ourselves, and then moving that out into the world.
I love that. That's so beautiful. And it's going to be an amazing day. And I love how it's really, I think you and I say this often, is like, we are the teachers only because we've been a student in the past and continue to be students of our own selves, right? And it's like, I hear this as an invitation for for anybody out there that is, a student of this practice, whether they're brand new or, this is really an all levels sort of opportunity. But then we become the teachers when we inspire and show up for others in the way that's most true to us too, and through that vulnerability, like you're sharing. And this is the time. This is the invitation over the last year and a half, is all of us taking these moments of really big challenges and allowing ourselves to soften and to be in that vulnerability. So this is such a beautiful offering at a beautiful time, and I'm so excited that you're bringing this to all of us. So
I'm excited too.
and then, as always, as part of the Teacher Future, we offer up an opportunity for an individual to bring awareness to a localized foundation and nonprofit, and to help to raise not only awareness but funds for them. And so, share with us a little bit about the space that you'll be supporting this month.
Okay, so for my donation class, which will be on September 19th, my Sunday soul class on September 19th, all of the proceeds will be going to our local sort of meditation spot, Meditation Mountain, Ojai on Reeves Road. I first arrived here in Ventura and found my way at some point with my husband all the way up to Meditation Mount. And I remember that day because just as soon as we started on the road to get up there, it just started to pour in the way. And it was just pouring down on us. And my husband was looking at me like, you really want to go up there and meditate? You really want to take me up there to this open space and go? But we did. And then as soon as we arrived, as soon as we walked through the gates of Meditation Mount, the skies opened up and the sun started shining. I was like, this is where we needed to be. This is
Oh my gosh.
amazing. And so it has always been a place that really just resonated with me. And when I go up there by myself, it's just a quiet place for people to really find themselves in nature. And so much of what they believe in at Meditation Mount is all about what we're teaching in yoga, especially here at Pop-Up, yoga in the wild. This is meditation in the wild, and just really coming into contact, like real contact, and being within nature and turning inward into the nature of yourself in that moment. And so I'm really very excited to sort of introduce people to Meditation Mount if they've never been there, and sort of partner in a way with them to donate as much as we can to them, because during the Thomas Fire, during the pandemic, they have really lost funds. And I'd like to sort of funnel some funds to them through this benefit, and really offer what I can in a humble way, support them as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, this is really a beautiful spiritual center that we have in our region of the planet. And so yeah, I think it was 2 years since I'd been up there and finally got back up there, and they have some beautiful visions for what they're doing to build and regrow from the damage that was done during the Thomas Fire, as well as like about a year and a half that I think they actually took off from being able to hold space for people. So, and then, as soon as they were opening, then COVID hit. So it's just been one sort of like obstacle after another. And so I love that we're coming together as a community to be able to support this really sacred space that we have in our backyard. So thank you for bringing some awareness to that. So I think that's all that we've got right now. I just want to thank Heather for holding space for us all month and offering some really unique opportunities to dive deeper, and also honoring all the work that she's put in up to this point. She's been with us since the beginning, and in the last year, she's taken over all the management of the schedule as well as our teachers. And she's just opened up all this deeper sense of possibility by her continuous showing up of what we are capable of doing as this community. So as your friend and as your peer, Heather, I'm so grateful for you. And I can't wait to be a part of what you're offering this month. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I so much appreciate you too, and for giving me the chance to kind of share who I am and what I'm offering. I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, beautiful. All right. Well, thank you. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon.
You too. Take care. Bye.